Your bank app can warn you before a fee hits, but it has to be set up before the bad morning arrives. The bad morning is ordinary. Friday, paycheck expected. Coffee still on the counter. A $9 subscription renews first. The balance dips below zero for a few hours, and by lunch the account shows the line nobody meant to buy. An overdraft fee around $35. The move is not to stare at that fee after it posts. The move is to check the settings that decide what happens before it gets there. Start with one today. Open checking. Find debit card and ATM overdraft coverage. If it is on, the bank may approve certain short balance transactions and charge the fee. If it is off, that same one-time transaction may be declined instead. Declined is awkward. A fee can be worse. That is the promise of this video. 5 settings that can make ordinary bank mistakes less expensive before they happen. Overdraft coverage, low balance alerts, link transfer rules, autopay timing, maintenance fee waivers. This is not a speech about discipline. A checking account is a timing machine. Paychecks arrive on one schedule. Rent, utilities, subscriptions, gas station holds, debit purchases, and automatic payments arrive on another. When the timing gets tight, defaults decide whether you get a warning, a decline, a transfer, or a fee. Maya is our composite viewer. She gets paid every other Friday. She keeps a normal checking account. She is not trying to outsmart the bank. She just wants small timing mistakes to stop becoming paid surprises. The first week she checks the app, she does not find one magic button. She finds 5 doors. That is enough. You do not need perfect banking. You need fewer fee paths sitting inside settings you never chose on purpose. Keep the screen simple. Checking account open. Settings visible. Alerts. Overdraft. Transfers. Recurring payments. Account requirements. By the end, you should know the 5 places to check and the exact questions to ask before another small charge gets to move first. Setting 1 is the overdraft opt-in. This is the cleanest place to start because it is a real setting, not a vague habit. For ATM withdrawals and one-time debit card purchases, a US bank generally cannot charge an overdraft fee unless you affirmatively opted in. You can change your mind later. In plain English, the coffee shop, grocery register, gas station, and ATM may have a choice path. If debit and ATM overdraft coverage is on, the bank may let the transaction go through when checking is short. If it is off, the bank may decline that one-time transaction instead. Declined is not fun. It can be embarrassing. But declined is information. A fee is information with a price tag. Maya finds the setting under account services. Your bank might call it overdraft coverage, overdraft protection, debit card coverage, courtesy pay, ATM and debit coverage, or something more polished than that. Do not trust the label by itself. Open the details and look for the sentence that says, what happens to one-time debit card purchases and ATM withdrawals when the account does not have enough money? The useful line is simple. I would rather choose what gets declined than discover what got approved with a fee. That does not mean every person should turn every protection off. Some people keep coverage because a declined transaction would create a bigger problem, like being unable to buy gas far from home. Fine, but the setting should be chosen on purpose, not inherited from an old sign-up screen. This chapter comes first for another reason. It separates payment types. The debit card and ATM opt-in rule does not cover everything. Checks and recurring electronic payments can still create overdraft or non-sufficient funds outcomes depending on the account terms. That is why there are 5 settings here, not one heroic toggle. So keep the action narrow. Check whether debit and ATM overdraft coverage is on. Read what the bank says will happen if you turn it off. If the app is vague, search the fee schedule or message support. Then make the setting match your real preference. Approve and risk a fee, or decline, and get the warning at the register. Maya turns it into a note. One-time debit should not be my emergency loan. That note will not stop every fee. It will stop one common path from deciding for her while she is tired, rushed, or standing in line. Setting 2 is low balance and transaction alerts. It sounds small until you notice when people usually learn there is a problem. Not before checkout. After the fee posts. Not before the subscription pulls. After the weekend settles. Not before the minimum balance line is crossed. After the monthly maintenance fee appears. An alert is not a budget. It is a smoke alarm. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation recommends online banking and alerts for tracking transactions and says low balance alerts can help people avoid dropping below minimum balance requirement. That is the official wording. The household version is shorter. Make the bank interrupt you while there is still time to choose. Maya's first mistake is setting the alert too low. If the alert fires under $5, it may arrive after the useful moment has already passed. A good threshold depends on the account, the bills, and the next paycheck. If rent, gas, groceries, or a recurring bill can move before payday, the alert needs enough room to matter. Use 3 alerts. First, a low balance alert at the number that makes you stop and check the calendar. Not the number that makes you panic, the number that says, pause. Second, a transaction alert for debit card purchases or withdrawals above an amount you would notice if it were wrong. That catches duplicates, holds, and spending that did not feel large in the moment. Third, a direct deposit or incoming payment alert, so you know when the money actually arrived, not when it was supposed to arrive. The behavioral evidence backs up the basic idea. Victor Stango and Jonathan Zinman found that increasing the salience of overdraft fees reduced fees in the study month, and repeated salience reduced overdrafts for up to 2 years. Part of the mechanism was fewer low-balance debit transactions and cancelled automatic recurring withdrawals. Plain English, when the fee path becomes visible before the mistake, people change the path. Alerts are not childish. They make the account speak at the right moment. The bank already has the information. You are deciding when it has to tell you. The action is direct. Open alerts. Turn on low balance. Transaction and deposit notifications. Then set thresholds around real bill timing. If the bank offers push and text, choose the one you actually see. A perfect alert buried in unread email is just another silent default. Setting 3 is linked transfer coverage. This feature gets misunderstood because the name sounds safer than the fine print. A checking account can sometimes be linked to savings, a credit line, or another account, so the bank can pull money across when checking is short. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation says a linked savings transfer may still have a fee, but it is typically less than an overdraft charge. The important word is may. Linked transfer is not magic. It helps only if the linked account has money, if your bank offers the feature, if the transfer works for that transaction type, and if the transfer fee is better than the alternative. Maya has $80 sitting in a savings pocket and a checking account that often gets tight 2 days before payday. Without a linked transfer rule, a small shortage can become the expensive path. With the rule, the bank might move money from savings and charge a smaller transfer fee, or no fee, depending on the terms. That can be a useful bridge. It can also drain savings without much noise, if every small mismatch pulls from the cushion. So the real test is not, do I have overdraft protection? The test is, what protects what? From where? At what cost? Open the app and look for overdraft transfer, linked savings, backup account, transfer coverage, or balance connect. Then ask 5 questions. Which account is linked? Which transactions are covered? Is there a transfer fee? How many transfers can happen? What happens if the linked account does not have enough money? The answer has to fit your life. If the linked account is your emergency fund, you may want a bridge for rare timing mistakes, not as permission to run checking to zero. If the transfer fee is close to the overdraft fee, the protection may not be much protection. If your bank offers no useful transfer option, the stronger move may be a bigger checking cushion or a lower fee account. Maya writes the rule in plain words. Backup money should be a guardrail, not an invisibility cloak. That line matters because linked transfers can make the month feel smoother, while hiding how often savings is being used. The goal is not to make every shortage painless. The goal is to keep a small shortage from becoming the most expensive version of itself. The action: check whether linked transfer exists, what it costs, and whether the linked account has enough slack to do the job. If you cannot explain the path, the setting is not finished. Setting 4 is autopay timing. A lot of people get surprised here. They hear that debit card overdraft coverage can be turned off, so they assume the account has a shield around it. Then, a recurring payment hits anyway. Insurance, utility, subscription, loan payment, rent portal, gym, phone bill, or an automatic transfer that was set months ago. Recurring payments are not the same as a one-time debit card purchase at checkout. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's overdraft guidance says checks and recurring electronic payments can still lead to overdraft or non-sufficient funds outcomes depending on the account terms. Plain English. The first toggle is not a shield around every bill. Autopay can be excellent. It prevents missed due dates. It protects credit when used carefully for debt payments. It reduces mental load. The problem is not autopay. The problem is autopay piled onto the riskiest days of the month. Maya opens her calendar and sees it. Paycheck Friday, rent on the 1st, phone on the 3rd, insurance on the 4th, streaming on the 5th, student loan on the 6th. Groceries squeezed into the same week. The account is not failing because every bill is wrong. It is failing because too many correct bills are standing in the same doorway. The move is a bill date audit. Route the next paycheck date. Then write every recurring payment for the following 14 days. Mark the payments that can move. Some billers let you change the date. Some do not. Some let you pause autopay and pay manually. Some create late fees or other risks if you move carelessly. The point is not to improvise. The point is to stop acting like every due date was carved into stone. Use the simple rule. First, flexible bills away from the cliff. Rent may not move. A loan due date may require a formal request, but a subscription, phone plan, insurance draft, credit card autopay, or savings transfer may have options. Moving 1 or 2 charges away from the low balance window can reduce the chance that a tiny mismatch becomes a fee. This is also where the earlier settings start working together. Alerts tell you the cliff is coming. Linked transfer can soften a rare mistake. Autopay timing means you walk near the cliff less often. Maya does not cancel every automatic payment. She gives them a better order. Setting 5 is the monthly maintenance fee waiver. This fee is quieter than an overdraft fee because it does not always feel like a mistake. It just appears. Monthly service fee, maintenance fee, account fee, minimum balance fee, paper statement fee. It can start to feel like the cost of having a bank account, even when one requirement or a different account would change it. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation tells consumers to look at fee schedules, and it notes that low balance alerts can help avoid dropping below minimum balance requirements. The practical task is plain. Find the waiver conditions before the fee posts again. Most waiver conditions are not emotionally complicated. They are administrative. Maintain a minimum daily balance. Receive a qualifying direct deposit. Keep a certain combined balance. Make a required number of debit card transactions. Enroll in paperless statements. Be a student, senior, military member, or other eligible category. Use a different account tier. Switch to an account with no overdraft program or lower monthly fees. Your bank may use different words. The logic is the same. Either the fee has a condition attached or it does not. Maya finds a monthly fee she barely noticed because it was smaller than the overdraft fee. That is why it survived. Big fees create anger. Small recurring fees become background noise. The action is a waiver check. Open account details, not only the balance screen, search fee schedule, monthly service fee, waive fee, minimum balance, direct deposit, paperless, and account comparison. Then finish one sentence. This account is free if blank. If you cannot finish the sentence, the account is not understood. Maybe the answer is easy. Direct deposit already qualifies, but the bank has her in the wrong account type. Maybe paper statements are triggering a fee and paperless fixes it. Maybe the minimum balance is unrealistic and the account should change. Maybe the account made sense at age 22 and makes no sense now. Maybe the fee is small, but every month it is still buying nothing. Do not stay loyal to a fee structure because moving accounts sounds annoying. Annoying ones can beat paying quietly all year. One guardrail. Before switching accounts, check direct deposits, autopays, bill pay, transfer links, checks, minimum balances, and outstanding transactions. A rushed switch can create the same fees you were trying to avoid. The win is not dramatic. It is a bank account whose rules you can explain in one sentence. Now, bring in the scale without turning the episode into homework. The point is not that banks are charging exactly the way they did 10 years ago. The market has changed. Some banks reduced or removed overdraft and non-sufficient funds fees. Some accounts now advertise lower fee or no overdraft designs. That is good, but lower is not gone. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's latest overdraft and NSF fee revenue data available for this production date reported $5.83 billion. In 2023, overdraft and NSF revenue for reporting banks. That was down 51% from 2019, but it was still material. Do not use that number to scare yourself. Use it to stay practical. If billions of dollars still move through this fee category, checking your settings is not paranoia. It is normal account maintenance. The household context matters too. The Federal Reserve's May 2026 Household Well-Being Report says 63% of adults would cover a hypothetical $400 emergency expense using cash or its equivalent, while 12% could not pay it by any means. That is why a $35 fee can matter. Not because every household is one fee away from disaster, because many households have limited slack, and the fee usually arrives when the account already has less room. Maya's $35 fee is not a national crisis by itself. It is a small shove at the wrong time. It can make gas tighter. It can make the next bill closer. It can push a person toward a credit card, a late transfer, or skipping the small grocery item they actually needed. So keep the tone calm. The solution is not rage. The solution is a checklist. These settings do not eliminate every bank fee. They do not override every account agreement. They do not replace income, savings, or a better account. But they can change the default path, and in banking, the fee often lives on the default path. Think of the 5 settings as a fee firewall, not a wall that blocks every problem. A set of gates that make the fee work harder before it reaches you. Overdraft coverage asks whether the transaction should be approved. Alerts ask whether you get warned in time. Linked transfer asks whether a cheaper bridge exists. Autopay timing asks whether the bill can move away from the cliff. Maintenance waiver asks whether the account should be charging you monthly at all. It is a practical system, not a perfect one. Now turn the 5 settings into a 10-minute bank app pass. Do not begin by reading every disclosure. Begin by finding the 5 doors. Door 1, overdraft coverage. Is debit card and ATM overdraft coverage on or off? What happens to one-time debit purchases when the balance is short? Door 2, alerts. Are low balance, transaction, and direct deposit alerts enabled? Are the thresholds useful before the fee, or only dramatic after the problem is already here? Door 3, linked transfer. Is savings or another account connected as a backup? What does the transfer cost? What happens if the backup account is empty? Door 4, recurring payments. Which automatic payments hit before or right after payday? Which dates can move without creating a late fee, lost discount, or new problem? Door 5, maintenance waiver. What has to be true for this account to avoid a monthly fee? Direct deposit, minimum balance, paperless, different account. That is the pass. If the app hides one answer, message the bank inside the app. Use plain language. What happens if my one-time debit card purchase overdraws my account? What alerts can I turn on? Is link transfer available? And what does it cost? Can I change my account type? How do I waive the monthly service fee? Do not ask, how do I avoid all fees? That invites generic answers. Ask about the specific path. Maya makes one page called Fee Settings, 5 lines, not a full budget. Next to each line, she writes the setting, the current status, and the next action. Overdraft debit, off low balance alert. Set at the real pause number, blink transfer. Available, fee checked, savings cushion protected. Autopay, 3 flexible bills, moved away from the paycheck cliff. Maintenance fee, waived by direct deposit, paperless on. Account still worth comparing once a year. Your answers may be different. They should be. The point is not to copy Maya's settings. The point is to stop letting unknown settings run the account. A better account may also beat a better setup. If the account charges fees you cannot realistically avoid, if the app gives poor alerts, or if the terms keep punishing normal timing, compare alternatives. A bank relationship is not a marriage, it is a service. The best fee setting may be choosing an account with fewer fee paths in the first place. A useful checklist needs edge cases. First, these settings do not eliminate every fee. Checks, ACH payments, recurring electronic payments, debit holds, account terms, posting order, and bank-specific rules can still matter. If a fee hits, read the transaction path before assuming which setting failed. Second, a declined transaction can have consequences if rent, insurance, medicine, or transportation is involved. The cheapest path may not be obvious. Sometimes preventing a bank fee creates a different problem with the biller. The goal is informed choice, not one universal toggle third. Link transfers require money to link. If there is no backup balance, the feature may not help. If the backup balance gets used too often, the household may need a larger checking cushion, a bill date reset, or a lower fee account. Not another transfer rule. Fourth, autopay is still useful. The answer is not to turn off every automatic payment and trust memory. Missed payments can be more expensive than overdraft fees. The better move is to place automatic payments where the account can handle them. Fifth, not every fee is negotiable, but some are worth asking about. If a fee was rare, caused by timing, or happened while you were changing settings, you can contact the bank and ask whether they will waive it. Do not build a strategy around forgiveness. Do not assume silence is required either. Sixth, this is not legal, tax, investment, or individualized financial advice. Account terms vary. Bank app labels vary. Fee schedules change. The practical claim is narrower. Many avoidable fee paths are easier to spot before they post than after. Maya's edge case rule is simple. If the checklist does not explain the fee, pull the fee schedule and ask the bank to map the path. The path means what transaction caused it, what rule applied, what setting affected it, what alert could have warned me, and what account option would avoid it next time. That question is stronger than asking only for a refund. A refund helps once. Understanding the path helps next month. The goal is not to become a banking expert. The goal is to make surprise fees less surprising and therefore less powerful. The account gets easier when fewer decisions are made in the dark. A $9 subscription should not turn into a $35 lesson before you even know the paycheck is late. A maintenance fee should not keep charging because the waiver rule sits on a page you never opened. A recurring payment should not stay on the worst day of the month just because that was the default date when you signed up. The money code here is simple. Fees love silence. Settings create friction. Overdraft coverage creates friction at the checkout line. Alerts create friction before the balance falls too far. Linked transfers create friction between a small shortage and a larger fee. Autopay timing creates friction between the bill and the paycheck cliff. Maintenance waivers create friction between the account and a monthly charge that no longer deserves to be automatic. That is the fee firewall. It will not make the month perfect. It will not replace income. It will not make every bank generous or every bill flexible, but it can turn a few expensive surprises into earlier decisions. Maya's final screen is boring in the best way. Low balance alert on. Deposit alert on. Debit card overdraft setting chosen on purpose. Backup transfer understood. 3 recurring dates moved. Monthly fee waiver checked. Account comparison reminder set for later. Nothing about that looks like a financial breakthrough. It looks like checking the smoke alarms. That is enough for this topic. Before the next fee hits, open the app and check the 5 doors. Overdraft, alerts, linked transfer, autopay timing, maintenance waiver. If one setting saves 1 fee, the pass was worth the time. If it saves a pattern, the account stops feeling random. You are not trying to win against your bank. You are trying to make your own defaults easier to live with. A fee that never hits does not send a receipt. It just leaves the week a little calmer.